Hello and welcome to Stitched from My Stash. I think this is episode 56. My name is Julie and I'm coming to you from just north of Glasgow in the UK, and my vlog is about sewing, knitting, patchwork and quilting and crochet. Thanks for joining me. Today's episode is going to be more of a what's on my needles episode, because there aren't a lot of finished items. So I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing. This is just a ready to wear wool over cardi, which I've had years and years, but it's washed and worn. And the main thing is this colourwork top that I made, oh blimey, 4 or 5 years ago. And to be honest, it was in a book that I've given away to a charity shop because I'm not going to make another one of these, and it was like a beginner's knitting guide, so I didn't want that anymore. But it is one that I've washed and worn, and I'm pretty happy with it. It is one that is sewn up, so it's made in pieces, and I would much favour working on garments that are knit in the round. I don't like sewing up, so hence I don't really want to keep this pattern. I'm just going to slip this cardigan back on. We've just been out in the car and it's 4 degrees, so it is a bit cold. I know nothing like the storms part of America are having, both weather-wise and politically, but it is a little bit chillier. And I've got on Eve trousers, which is my go-to, and I've made loads and loads of those. So I do have a cup of tea with me because it's late morning here up in Scotland. Cheers. And I've got my list of what I'm going to talk about, and I'm just going to get my list now. So what do I have today? Let's see. So I'm going to talk about some mending. I have a big pile. I don't even know if I can lift it up, to be honest. I have this basket of jeans, which some of them have gone beyond the stage of mendability. Some have been mended before. So what I like to do is tick off one piece of mending a week. That's one basket. The other basket is even bigger. So this is the other basket. It's huge. So the type of thing I've got in here is this top, which I like, that I made. I sewed the hook and eyes on the wrong way, and I didn't sew them on very well either. So that's the type of thing that's in that mending basket. So that needs doing. A pair of tights here with the toe needs darning. Loads of socks that need darning. This jumper that I did have on the other day, and I must confess, I haven't woven in the ends yet, and I've worn this loads. So my pile of mending is something I'm going to tackle, and I'm going to try and do one piece of mending every week. That basket has been there for over a year. I think there's another one of these cardigans in there with just a little bit of the seam coming undone and under the arm, but it's playing on my mind. I am such a putter-offer, and in all parts of my life I'm a putter-offer. But then it just stresses me because I've got things I should be doing. And anyway, so I am going to aim to do one piece of mending a week. Hence, yesterday I did do a piece of mending, and it's this shirt, which is Andrew's shirt, and I turned the collar, and I did a little video here. Not sure if I'll put it on. I did a what do you call it, time lapse of me turning over the collar. Now this shirt is really old, but he likes it and he wanted it mended. So I took off the collar. Excuse me, I think I may be sneezing here. I took off the collar and unpicked the side that was broken, and then turned it round and sewed it back on, so the good side is on the top again. Now, as you can see, the inner of the collar is really worn as well, but he wanted it done, and this hasn't been in my mending pile for a long time. He only shoved it in this week, but that was the first thing I picked up. So that's a bit of mending done, which really is my only finished item this week. I'll add the video, and anyway, I may add it as a full video, because Andrew did a bit of banjo playing as well alongside it, or I'll just put it in the frame here. So worth doing. I do have some of his other shirts that I am going to fix up and get a little bit more wear out of them. So mending is my plan for once a week. I'm going to pick up a piece of mending. Right, what else have I got on here? That was my only finished item. The other stuff is things I've been working on, which I've been enjoying. And let's see if I can turn over the page here. Let's see, what have I got? The crochet blanket. So I have sewn some more of these together. And I did say I watched a nice video on how to sew them together. So there is a back and front to this stitch. That's the front, and it's really coming on nicely. To be honest, I haven't made any more of the hexagons. I do have some here, which I'll need to weave the ends in, but that's coming on really nicely. Now, what I've started doing this new year, I've cast on, or not so much cast on, I'm dipping into a few projects at a time. And my usual way of working is to choose one project and finish that through. So I don't know how I'm getting on working on a few projects at a time, because there might be one project that I'm happier with, so I'm sticking with that. Like I said, I haven't gone back to make any more of these, but there's no end goal in mind, but it is going to be really nice when it's finished. And I have a basket of yarn somewhere. It's acrylic yarn, 4mm needles, and it was something I picked up off eBay. No, it wasn't. Free Cycle. And the colours go together, and it's going to be a really jazzy throw for our lounge. So I'm working on that. The other thing I'm working on is the mittens from this book, this lovely Shetland book. And I did say, and somebody kindly commented about my little geography lesson, which I don't think was quite, my geography lesson, I don't think was that accurate. Yes, Shetlands are to the north east of the mainland Scotland, But when I was going to put a map up, if I find one, I will add a map up here. I think Fair Isle is further south than I thought. Anyway, I'm rambling. So it's from this book, and the mittens are called Val's something, Vatster Mittens. Vatster Mittens. And again, I'm using yarn from my stash. I don't want to go buying any more yarn, but as I said, I will if I get the urge. And in fact, I may end up buying a ball of this, I think you say Sheppy's. I've got the ball band here somewhere. Sheppy's yarn, which I bought this one in a charity shop, this Sheppy's yarn, because I'm not sure if that's the main colour. I'm not sure if I'll have enough for both mittens. And I just looked online and you can still get this colour, which is, I think, Bogota. It's not Bogota, is it? Bogota. Anyway, so I may end up buying another ball of this because that is the main colour, which will be fine. So what have I done this week on these? Let's just put the ball there because that's still attached. So I've done the colour work on the cuff. So the cuff turns over, and I was wondering how this was going to work. You knit the colour work of the cuff, and again I'm using what I have, and this navy on the pattern in the book is a nice red, and I think that would have stood out a bit more, but that's as much as I've done on the colour work. So that's the way the cuff will work. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? On the hand. And then what you do once you've finished the colour work, and I've never done this before, you turn the work inside out. It's knit in the round. So you turn the work inside out. So then your working yarn is on the wrong side. If you knit in the round, you know what I mean. And I thought, that doesn't seem right. But it gives you an instruction in the book to take one of the pearl bumps and put it over your needle to avoid a hole. But it doesn't say in the book that your working yarn will be on the wrong side. So I've done the best I could. And then you work in this rib stitch for the inner cuff. So this is what happens. The colour work bit covers the rib bit there, and that my next thing then is to go back and start the colour work on the mitten itself rather than just the cuff. So I've really enjoyed doing that, and the needles, I think these are 250s, and it's quite nice to do something on a smaller needle because I'm tending to do more double knit type things, or that crochet blanket is a 4mm, and I don't know, it just feels, is it because it's more, you have to put a bit more thought in, but it does feel nicer working on smaller needles. So I did do some progress on that this week. I was aiming to weave in the ends. I think as I go along, I pick up, there's a way of picking up your floats, so your floats aren't all dangling behind. So I pick up every 3 stitches, I pick up a float from the back, which I think makes the back less likely to catch when you're putting the mittens on, and I think it does make a neater inside. And of course the fact that it's colour work will make them cozier, because it is only it's a 4-ply yarn, so it's quite a fine yarn, but the colour work does thicken the fabric up and make them cozier. So this is the basket that the yarn is in, and these are the colour combination. As I said, I would have liked to have the red, but I've tried to make sort of a, to be honest, some of the colours are similar to what's in the pattern, and it's always easier to use the same colours that the pattern uses. Otherwise you are you've got extra things to think about. So the colours are similar to what's in the book, but I'm missing the red really. Anyway, so I've been working on that and really enjoying that, but I've also started a new cast on, which is back here, and this jumper is, and I put a picture of the pattern here. I haven't printed off the pattern just because I'm not going to write. Excuse me a minute, I need to get up and do something. Hello, back. I needed a tissue. I was sneezing. So I was talking about this new cast on. So I've gone from 2.5mm to 15. So these aren't a nice knitting experience, but I'll try and put a photo here. I was looking, I don't know, putting some clothes away, whatever, in my wardrobe the other day, and this top is in there, which perhaps I made last year, and no, it's okay, it's fine, but I'm not really happy with the way I've sewn the shoulders together, and it doesn't sit quite right. So I thought, why not undo it and knit something you will like? So I looked on Ravelry. I can't remember if it took me a long time to find something, but I found this little round neck, they call them tees, round neck t-shirt, short sleeve, and I've downloaded the pattern, but I've not printed it off. It's on my phone. I can't remember if we've got printer ink. I'll see if we've got it. But the pattern is so straightforward. I'm just looking at my phone and then using my knitting record book to jot down the pattern. So what am I on? Let's see. Oh, anyway, I've done the first part of the yoke, and so no, that's the mittens. Anyway, I'm really not organized. So it's a round neck, which the neck does look a bit tight, and some people on Ravelry were saying that they added extra stitches, but it does get over my head, and I'm going to leave it as it is. And then you add on, I think is make one to expand the yoke, and then divide for the sleeves, and it's a nice straightforward little tee top. And because it's knit in the round, there's no sewing up, so I don't have to be dissatisfied with my sewing up. So I'm going to undo this top, but I've also started by undoing this shawl that I made. 3, possibly 4 years ago. Again, I'll put a photo. And I'm not really a shawl wearing person. So I don't know why I made this shawl, because perhaps I had some of this yarn left. I'm not sure why I made this shawl. I bought this yarn literally, blimey, 20 odd years ago, with the aim of making a jumper. I may have made the jumper up, I can't remember. But whatever, I didn't like it. So I used a lot of the yarn to make cowls and things like that. So there isn't a full jumper's worth left. Hence I made the sleeveless vest type thing. And hence I made the shawl out of the remaining yarn. And it's pretty enough, but, and it was obviously bigger than this because I've undone it, but I'm not really a shawl wearing person. So I never wore it. I put a picture on my Instagram, but literally I never wore it. I think my mother-in-law was here at a time and I gave it to her to put round her shoulders. But I'm not particularly comfy wearing this type of thing. Having said that, I am going to look up a little scarf shawl type thing, a really small one. I think people talk about the Sophie scarf, which I can't even remember what it's like, but that type of little thing I'm going to end up making. So I'm undoing this to create a jumper that I think I'll wear more. I've ordered some more circular needles, which are metal. These are plastic, and I'm hoping the yarn will slide off the metal ones a bit easier. Plus, that's, I don't know, 40 centimeters, and I'm going to need a wider circular needle once that starts growing. So hopefully they'll arrive within the next few days, and I can then get on with knitting the main body of this top. And I'm looking forward to that, because I think that will be a much nicer style than this. I can feel a sneeze coming on again. So I've started that, and there's more undoing to do on the, oh goodness me, I hope I haven't got another cold. It could be dust off that the mending pile, but I am going to sneeze, excuse me. Shambles. Right, so what else have I been working on? I've started to amend the Lunar Lapin. That this was like a trial one, and I did make the body out of white felt because I was just using up what I had. This was before I went to Cool Crafting in Kendal, sometime, I don't know, October time last year. So whilst I was in Cool Crafting, I bought some of their felt, and it's similar to the felt I had already. And so what I've done is I've just cut out a new body instead of a white body. I've sewn it, I think, much nicer than my trial one, and I'm now in the process. The next stage will be stuffing this. I've done the arms and I've done the head, again out of previous bits of felt I had, and I'll leave the ears, the grey, because it's only going to be for me, and that shouldn't take too long. And then what I'm aiming to do is to make more of the clothes. Now, I did make one of these for our granddaughter for Christmas. I don't know where it's ended up, because she got so many cuddlies and things. And last time I was down there, I said, where's the bunny I made? We couldn't find it. So it'll be there somewhere. So I want to make more clothes for the one I gave her. And again, they'll be nice little projects using up bits of fabric from my stash. So I've worked on that, and I also have the knitting patterns that I can make a start on, and I think that's it for my thank you so much for all the comments on the Entrelac blanket, which I'm not going to undo. And somebody, a regular subscriber, I know who you are, thanks very much, said, what about doing an hour a week? And I think that's fab. So if I can just allocate a little bit of time every week to work on the Entrelac blanket, which is still on this chair, I've put the yarn in there that I have. And I thought, yeah, it's a shame. And lots of people said, and thank you so much for commenting. So I've got all this yarn allocated for this Entrelac blanket. You know, what else am I going to use that for? And it would be such a shame to undo that. And people were coming up with really interesting suggestions to turn it into something else, which I could have done. But I think I am going to try and persevere and just see it as a long-term project. But this is where I'm not sure if my working on more than one project is working for me, because I've started all these now. Oh my gosh, I'm just rambling. So that's the Entrelac, and I've got a few things noted down here. I did go to the sports centre last week, so I went to a yoga class, which is lovely. This particular yoga teacher, I really like the way she does it, but I can't always go on the day she does the class because we have another commitment on a Tuesday. So I did manage to go last week, and I went to a fitness class, which was great, and I did go on the treadmill in the gym, or the tramulator as I like to call it, and I did 2 kilometers on that at my slow pace. But I'm going to try and go back again now this week to do some more gym stuff and to do the exercise class again. So and we did do a lovely hill walk, which again I'll put some video at the end. That was really lovely. The weather down here said it was going to rain, so we thought, oh, it's going to rain up in the hills. But we were so lucky, and it was so atmospheric with the mist over the hills, and we had some lovely views. We met the local farmer, and he was lovely, giving us a nice chat. The hill walk was so steep, mind. By the end, where we got to the top, I just lost my energy. I think it was 700 meters, but it was like that all the way. I'd lost my energy by the end, and we ended up in, just me and Andrew, in the group shelter, having our lunch, getting out of the cold wind. There was a little tiny bit of snow up there, but the wind was bitter, and like I said, I'd lost my energy. So we had our lunch in the group shelter. So that's what you'll see in the video if you watch it, me under the orange. And we had a really good rest then. And then coming down, again, coming down was really quick because it was really steep coming down. So hopefully we'll do a walk this week. But I am finding, I've said this before, I think, I can't rush around like I used to. And sometimes by late afternoon, I've had enough. And I think, it seems like I've had a busy day. But anyway, so our granddaughter had a birthday party. She was 4, which was lovely. Catch up with lots of the parents of her little friends. So that was nice. And yeah, I bought a new car. Not new, but new to me, which I know is totally what's the word? I don't know, first world whatever problem. But it's very stressful buying a car. And then, it's an electric car, so it's quite different to mine. So that's been a bit, full on. I'd rather buy a house than a car. because I don't know much about cars. I'm not really that interested, to be honest. But I am a bit of a nervous driver. So I've got to learn to drive this new car now. So I think that's it. Ramble. But I wanted to get something out today. Otherwise, the week will go. Hopefully next week, I would have done some mending and some more knitting and crochet. Not sure if I'm going to go back on to sewing for a couple of weeks, but the knitting is a nice cozy activity in the winter time, isn't it? So I think that's it. I am going to try and say goodbye for now, but I'm sure I'll be remembering something as I try and sign out. Thanks for watching. I will put the video of the hill walk, and hope to see you next week. Thanks for all the subscriptions, the likes and the comments. It's good to have your company, and for me it's a little positive space on the internet and in my day, in my week. Look after yourselves. Take care. Bye for now.